You're listening to the Beans and Dice podcast, a podcast about how we game.
Hey folks, welcome to the Beans and Dice podcast Thursday night live call-in show. Hey, there's my DJ horn right there. I'm Carlos.
My best rep. I'm Wayne.
And it is Thursday night live call-in show night when our motto on the show is how we game, but Thursday nights it's all about how you game, where we take your phone calls to talk about what you got going on in your gamer life. But our first call of this evening, even before the show started, my man, Patrick Haver, on the line with us from Escape WinterCon. Patrick, say hello to the folks at home.
Hey, everybody. Hope you're doing well tonight.
Thanks for that, Patrick. Patrick is not a stranger to the show. He's been on the show before. He's been to the studio. He's a good friend of the show. Gave me some awesome games. And we have him on today to talk about Escape WinterCon coming up very soon. Actually, it's going to be March. Let me get the exact date. March 16th?
March 12th to the 16th.
12th to the 16th. So the last day is the 16th. Lots of changes that's gone on this last year for you and Escape WinterCon. Ain't that right, Patrick?
Yes, it is. We moved to a brand new venue and went up in scale for the number of people that can show up. So we got a lot of new stuff going on there.
Talk about that new venue. I knew that I enjoyed the last venue. It had a great location. It was right smack in an area surrounded by food. I know I make everything about food. And I felt they had some great conference space. Like, it was a really good setup. But there were some changes that were needed to the resident side. So it sounded like you heard what the folks were saying, and you made some changes for the hotel. What made you choose this location?
Well, when we went and looked around at various locations, this one was big enough for us to be able to put 500 people into one ballroom, as well as the fact that, you know, they've been maintaining everything the way they should have, which is one of the problems that happened with the old hotel. Was the hotel during COVID decided not to maintain anything. And this hotel obviously did maintain everything, but we were also able to work out a nice deal where everyone gets free parking. So that's always been a big issue for a lot of the hotels in Orlando, where they want $20 to $30 a day, and getting it for free is nice. Plus the fact it's at the Doubletree SeaWorld. So if anybody wants to go to SeaWorld, it's literally right there, and the Doubletree gives people free cookies.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in. You said free cookies?
You're in. Yeah. I think, it's interesting is I think for my professional life, I travel to work conferences 4 or 5 times a year, and I've served on the nonprofit boards of several of the conferences. And I know how insane working with hotels can be for conferences, because there's the guaranteed room block that you have to guarantee. There's the in order to get, usually you get the event space for free if you guarantee X amount of hotel nights. And then there's the AV cost. Any AV cost is through the roof. And I know that the last time I planned a conference for my professional life, to get a gallon of coffee, it was like a $90, type thing. So like it can be like free parking is kind of like, people go, oh, why do I get, that's a big concession from a hotel, because, hotels make their money on like bar sales and the parking and those like incidental costs, the room and board, the food and ancillary costs. That's where they make a ton of money on conferences. So when you get free parking, that's actually a pretty big concession.
It is. And I mean, I'm glad we were able to get it. If you've ever been to the Doubletree SeaWorld, they actually have like a locked up parking area. So the closest that you could park for not inside their area is across a pretty busy street, and I really didn't want people to have to risk death to come to the convention. Yeah. I mean, like you said, there's a lot of different negotiating you have to do with these hotels, and the room blocks and everything else. And a lot of the other places, I try to get everybody a very reasonable amount for the hotel room, so that we can sell hotel rooms and people can travel in from out of town and not feel ripped off. because this is the busy season for a lot of Orlando, because it's one of the few times a year that it's not too hot, not humid, the bugs aren't out yet. So it's a real good chance to go and spend some time in Orlando and not have to pay $250 a night for a hotel room always helps.
Yeah, and $120 a night for a room in Orlando, it's like in order for it to not be just like somewhere where you would never want to stay yourself. That's an insane deal. Like, I was just in Orlando for my son's soccer tournament like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and it was like $250 a night. And we booked almost the whole hotel, and it was still $250 a night. Like, it's not cheap hotels in Florida these days.
No, they're not. And I mean, unfortunately, just the whole January through March area, because it's when all the snowbirds come down,
yep,
that they jack the prices up like crazy. So
and actually, I'm reading right
it's
here.
Called Escape Winter for a reason.
Yeah. So $129 a night, which is unheard of in the Orlando area, especially that close to like an attraction or a theme park. And then the $30 resort fee and the $30 parking fee both waive. So there you go. $120 a night. That's cheap. That's probably cheaper than you could book that independently. And then you're also saving $60 a day because you don't have the resort fees and the parking. I mean, that's pretty good.
And my family has stayed at this hotel before for a trip to Universal, because it is right there near Universal and SeaWorld. It's smack in the middle.
Yeah, and they actually have the little shuttle buses that can take you to either Disney or Universal if you want to go there instead of SeaWorld.
Yep. It's a great location, great hotel. It's a good spot. It's going to have a great view in the morning. Now, let's talk a little bit about the hotel, the conference piece of it. That's the part I'm not familiar with that location. So you're moving from a place you've been at for a few years. You kind of have a set layout, a set idea. Now you show up to this new location. How's that going with setting up decisions on what goes where, what rooms you're using? Give us the lay of the land.
Well, obviously we have the large ballroom where we'll have also registration will be inside of there. But there's a hallway just outside the main ballroom where there's 3 rooms. And one of those rooms will be the library. One will be divided in half for different events that are going on, including like the game shows and Blood on the Clock Tower and Werewolf. And then the third room is 2/3 of it is going to be for RPGs. And then 1/3 is going to be for various tournaments that we run through the course of the con. So because it's right there, it's not like people have to walk, a few hundred yards or whatever. It's literally inside the same building. And basically for dividing that, I prefer to keep the library in its own space just so it doesn't take up gaming space in the main hall. And for the event, as people come out and go to them, at least it gives them a destination, so to speak, in that hallway. Basically, as soon as you leave the main ballroom, you turn left, there's that hallway, and that has everything else that you guys are going to need for the convention.
Now, one of the big drivers for Escape WinterCon is your famous flea market, like continuing to do that, which is really truly a service for the gaming community. Like, that's big. Where's that going to be set up? How are you prepared for that? How many tables do you have?
Well, right now we have sold 15 tables, and that's all we can put in one room, because in the room that's next to it is where the virtual flea market will be an hour after the regular flea market goes. So basically, as the regular flea market is closing, the virtual flea market will be there. So people have choices to do both things, sell live, as well as to arrange to trade or buy games with the virtual flea market. And if people aren't familiar with that, is BGG runs a geek list that people can enter what their games that they want to sell are and what they're looking for. And then people can bid on them. So before they even come to the con, they'll know what they're going to be able to buy or to sell.
I did my first virtual flea market purchases last year. And I remember Wayne asked me how I was doing, how's it going, and I'm like, I don't like this. And I get it. Some people love the virtual flea market. I'm more of an impulse buyer. I'm more of a browser. I want to negotiate a little bit. It felt too clinical for me. Maybe that's the word I'll use. It was too, here's the list of people that have already bought from me. And I'm walking around like, let me know if that person doesn't show up. I want to buy that. That's a good looking game, right? But that's not how the virtual flea market works.
So I like
It
both.
doesn't.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Patrick.
No, I was just going to say is a lot of people like one or the other or both. So that's why we like to run both at the convention. Because like you said, I mean, I love to go to flea markets and just wander around and see what people are selling and what they're offering for it and things like that. I mean, several years ago, I did get a copy of Queen's Gambit, that Star Wars game, at a flea market.
Just found.
And that game, yeah, I mean, it was ridiculous. I didn't think anybody was selling it. He sold it for like $100. So it was a very reasonable price, and they still haven't reprinted it to this day. So I felt very lucky.
Yeah, and I don't think that's one that's probably never going to get reprinted. I think I like the virtual free market for like, okay, this is a Grail game that I want and I know it's for sale. I'm going to buy it right now. The other flea market I like because you can walk through initially and you maybe find that game that you weren't thinking about. But as the day goes on or as the event goes on, sometimes people drop prices. That's where I like to get a little, get the haggle in there and try to talk about, hey, I know you have it listed for 80, but would you take 60? And you get some deals every now and then. So.
Right. I mean, and that's part of the fun. I mean, I always have a table at the regular flea market and I always put like, these games are 20-ish. So that way people can come up and try to negotiate with me for those.
I like that.
I like the ish. Adding that ish at the end.
Yeah.
5 is like in the 20-ish range, right? From people like me to people like you, thank you for continuing to do the physical flea market that stands out. That's one of the reasons I love going to historical gaming conventions. So like HMGS's, Huracan, and Recon. The fact that they have that physical flea market is a great place to just browse and just kind of make some bad decisions, like some unplanned impulse bad decisions. So we thank you.
No problem. And yeah, I mean, I know I've made several poor decisions at various flea markets, but it's always good fun. And if you get a game for much cheaper than you would normally get it, even if you just get it for parts for something else, you usually do okay.
Yeah, there are other cons out there that got rid of their physical flea market for the people while continuing to do their own flea market. It kind of feels like we got stiffed when I started to see that become a trend at a certain con. But looking forward to hearing about the success for yours, and let's talk a little bit more about different events. We talked about the flea market, the virtual flea market. What are some of the events that you're hosting this year at Escape WinterCon to draw folks in?
Well, we have several different painting sessions that'll go on where people can come and, everything will be provided so that they'll be able to basically paint for free and take home the miniature that they're going to get. We have a bunch of different game shows every night that give away Amazon gift cards. We have the social deduction games that I know a lot of people love, where Blood on the Clock Tower and Werewolf will be played every night from starting at 8 p.m. until whenever they decide to go to bed. We're going to have a bunch of new RPG events from the D&D group this year, as well as one of our members is running. There's a brand new Conan RPG that just came out, and he's running some of those events, as well as Gaslands, where, if you know what that is you get a Matchbox car.
Oh, yeah, I got boxes. Oh, right next to my Blood Bowl. Boxes of Gaslands.
Well, and he has one where you basically play like Death Race 2000, but instead of trying to kill all the different people, there's zombies around. So you're trying to drive around and get the biggest count of zombies. And, we always run different tournaments. So like Wingspan and Settlers of Catan and Ticket to Ride. We have teaching sessions. We have the hot games area. And I mean, we're always adding new stuff. So if you want to go to the website at escapewintercon.com, there'll be a link that'll take you to tabletop events where you can see all the different events that are out there for right now.
I'm sharing that for the viewers on YouTube. Those of you that are listening on the podcast, you can't see it, but I am currently on there sharing that screen. I'm seeing more and more games getting added to this list. Folks, this is where you go not only to see what's on the schedule, but whatever's on your heart. And I know a lot of us gamers are zealots. We have a game that we love and we want to share it with the world. This is the page where you can go in and host a game. You can schedule a game to share your love of that game. Ain't that right, Patrick?
Yes, it is. And, you know, like I said, we're always looking for people to do that. If you run 12 hours of games, we'll reimburse your badge at the end of the con. So, you know, as long as you're there to run the games and teach people and have fun, that's what it's really all about to us. I mean, we're not out here trying to make a ton of money. We're just trying to facilitate people having fun. And I know, like you said, people love to run their own stuff. And we'll have a few game companies sending things out there, like Renegade sent some stuff out for a diplomacy tournament. And we've got a few other game companies that have sent stuff that we'll be posting soon. But we also got a copy of Binho, which is like a very flick'em soccer game that made me laugh.
Is it that one with the metal post inside the game?
It is, with the sides of the rubber bands.
Yes. That's a good looking game.
Man, I want to get a copy of this. It's fun.
It's just a fun, silly game, and like you can get red cards and yellow cards by flicking things the wrong way. So
I like it. One thing I liked in that game, like that list of games, is there was a lot of learn to plays, like learn to play Terraforming Mars, learn to play this, you know, beginners D&D, you know,
learn to play Darwin's Journey. That's
right.
going to be a long. It's set for 4 hours. There it is.
You got 4 hours. But that's cool.
I wish I had that. I wish I had a learn to play. My first play of Darwin's Journey was kind of thrown in. Greg from Bradenton taught it to me, but it was a quick teach, getting in play. I would love to have a full learn to play.
Yeah, and then that's what this is basically he'll do the teach, and then the first 4 people that signed up that show up will get to play the whole game with him standing there to answer questions.
Nice. I like that.
And in addition, in our hot games area, a lot of times is the people that help us run the con crew will learn a lot of the games in the hot games area. So when people sit down, they can step up and help them teach the game.
And it's great to have an actual physical teacher, right? There's a SOBO, Southern Board Game Fest, out in Lafayette, Louisiana, that we've gone to. They have dedicated space for teaching games like this. When someone who's playing the game with you teaches, right? I love Greg, Sarasota Bradenton Greg. He did a great job teaching, but he would wait till your turn was over and then tell you, you could have did this, this, and this, but now your turn's over. It's too late because it's still a competition, you know?
Yeah.
Right. And that's why we like to have people that are willing to sit out and teach it, because that, you know, they really have no dog in the fight, so to speak. So really they're just there to give people the options. And usually after most people play these games, after the first turn, you know, there might be a weird technical question that comes up, but most people have the game by that point.
Nice. Yep.
All right, let's talk a little bit about hot games. I know Wayne's hot topic is hot games.
Sure. It's interesting is, you know, every con has a hot games table. So how do you determine what games are in there? I guess a couple questions. What games are in your hot games room at this con? And then how do you determine that?
Well, obviously, we have to have a physical copy of it before I can promise people that we can teach it to them. But, you know, I try to get a lot of the new games, and then usually we'll get anywhere between 10 to 12 games, and I'll talk to the people that are going to help run that area, and we'll kind of vote on it, as well as look at what's on, like, the BGG hot list. So, like, this year we have SETI, you know, the Search for Extraterrestrial Life. I know that's high up on a BGG list. I got a copy of Ostia with the Pirate expansion. That's a really good game. I haven't played SETI yet, but I've heard it's good. But Ostia with the Pirates expansion, I thought really highly of. And, I'm still trying to get a copy of Finspan, but I don't know if I'll be able to get it before the con starts. But, we have others like Rebirth, and, we have Arc Nova, Arcs. I have the Elder Scrolls and Iridia, but I don't know if those are going to be in the hot games area, even though they're very high up and people love them, because the dungeon crawler, it might take somebody 4 hours to play through the first scenario. And if they want to keep playing it, having it be in the hot games area is not going to help them.
Right. Yeah, because it's really in hot games is getting a taste of a game, getting the first play of it.
Right. And I mean, once you played SETI, you might want to sit there and play it 4 times, but, odds are you'll play it once and people that will be waiting will then want to sit down and play it as well.
They usually start to see that line form on those really hot games. Kind of a couple of 3 folks sitting there almost like they put their quarters down on the table. That indicate they have next.
Yeah, people get a challenge.
And then,
you get like 1 coin to be able to be like, I'm next.
Right, because last year we had Nucleum on the table, and I don't think that game was unplayed between like 8 a.m. and midnight any day. And there were always like 2 or 3 people waiting for the next availability.
Well, and that speaks to so SETI and Arcs are 2 games you say are going to be in the hot games area. Those are both fairly heavy games that could be a 2 to 3 hour play on a first play. Do you try to then also get some quick play games in the hot games area as well, or is it really just whatever the hot game is and it takes what it takes?
Well, we always try to get 1 game that's like an hour or less in there. But again, the hot games area, like I said, we'll list 10 to 12 and we'll put like 4 to 6 in the hot games area. And if one is not being played a lot because people have no interest in it, we'll pack it up and put it in the library and put something else in its place. So it's always just a matter of what people are looking for. I mean, if I get a copy of Finspan, I know it'll sit in the hot games area and people will play it all the time.
Yeah, and that was pretty quick. I mean, you can. I've fortunately been able to play it a few times, and it definitely plays even faster than a Wingspan. So it's pretty good. Right.
I mean, there's the Fellowship of the Ring, the trick-taking game, and that might start off in the hot games area, and we'll see how people respond to it. It kind of surprised me on how difficult it was. Usually you think a trick-taking game is going to be pretty easy, and like the Crew I didn't find super hard, but the Fellowship of the Ring trick-taking game I thought was quite a bit harder than that.
Interesting.
I've always felt like trick takers right off the bat have a 2 points of difficulty added. Boom. Like just because it's trick taking. Like I don't ever assume that people grew up playing trick takers like I did. I know my kids didn't grow up playing trick takers. My wife didn't grow up playing trick takers. So it's just not something I can just throw on the table quickly. Like I have to try to get them to understand that trick taking concept. That's hard.
Right. And the Fellowship of the Ring really amps that up. Harmonies will probably be in the hot games area. I did get a few copies of that because I know it's in our group has been a very successful game.
May I suggest Flip 7?
Yes. Flip 7? Okay.
So when Wayne talks about short, fast games, you're going to get a game of Flip 7 in 20 to 15 minutes tops. Tops, if people are having bad luck. It plays 3+ number of players, and it is a blackjack mechanism. It's a great game. It is currently it made my top 20 for 2024 games played.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'll get a copy of that then.
That's a good one.
Carlos, and if if you're struggling and you can't find it, I know Rob is desiring to visit y'all. I had ordered originally 3 copies, gave them all away. So my wife reordered another 4. We've given some of them away. I may have an extra one laying around. So you let us know, Patrick, if you need a copy of Flip 7 for the library, because it has been hard to find. Beans and Dice will be glad to help.
All right, great. Thank you much.
Yeah, my man has given me copies of some OG original Blood Bowl, Wayne. Patrick has given me original OG Blood Bowl models that I squeed when I saw them. So I have no problems sharing with Patrick.
I know you love that game and you play it all the time. So
Thank you so much. Hey, in the chat, you got a shout out here. William in the chat. William from Nerdy Weds. William says that he will be at Escape WinterCon, probably running some Blood on the Clock Tower. Like that's his thing.
Well, awesome. Because, yeah, I mean, I know that game, people just love it. And usually they'll play from like 8 o'clock at night until like 3 in the morning. So.
And then finally, we wanted to talk a little bit about bigger perspective, that industry-wide perspective of cons. So when it comes to cons, there's so many cons coming out. Every state is starting to become known for at least one con or one convention. You can go to Who's Turn in the Carolinas. We can go to Southern Board Game Fest in Louisiana, right? Board Game Geek in Texas. So many different cons in each state. How do you continue to differentiate yourself? And then how has that impacted your ability to be competitive, to find space and do it and still not come out broke?
Well, it's certainly not easy, but, we just got to listen to people and what they're looking for and what they have fun at. We obviously visit other cons, and if something is really fun at another con and people are just going crazy for it, maybe we'll run a version of that at our con as well. I mean, right now we're obviously doing Escape Winter, so, people can come down with their families and go to Disney and everything else and go to the con as well. And, unfortunately, that's the time of year when hotels are almost the most expensive. So that's a negotiation that's hard to do. So, hey, if you're thinking of coming, book a hotel room. But no, I mean, it's not easy. And, I'm glad more cons are showing up. So, there's more gaming around, and that's great. And I'm always happy for that. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely getting to be a harder field to compete in. So we actually hired a marketing director. I don't know if you guys know Kelly North Adams, but she redid our website and is helping us out a lot with artwork and everything else in terms of how to market the con. So this year we're doing okay. And next year we should be even bigger because she'll have a whole year to be able to do that.
So the Escape WinterCon thing is, you're escaping winter. It's actually been a very cold winter, even in Florida. Do you already have some kind of preliminary numbers on how many folks you have from Florida versus that are coming from out of state?
Well, I mean, usually it's about 60% Florida and 40% out of state. I mean, one guy yesterday said he was flying in from Australia. So, we'll welcome him to the group. And I know every year there's a group of people that come out from England and as well as Spain, Brazil. So we'll have at least 4 continents represented this year.
In our chat, one of the viewers is Edmund England, all the way from Sweden. He's a regular viewer of the show. He's what makes us internationally acclaimed. If it wasn't for Edmund, we would not be international. Edmund, Escape WinterCon is waiting for you in lovely Orlando, Florida, a stone's throw away from the Beans and Dice studio. So if you want to add yourself to that list of international guests, Edmund, you should join.
Well, and people can stay at the hotel several days before and after and still get the rate that we have. So, if they want to come out and do other stuff besides go to the con, they got plenty of chances.
Well, I'm going to email you the dates of the Hillsborough County School System spring break. See if we can align this, because you were 1 week off from our school spring break. The week after Escape Winter is our actual spring break with the kids. I know I have to work this year for your con, but man, it would be great if it landed like right on our spring break. That'd be great.
Well, we'll try, but yeah, I know several people have told me that 1 week later would have just been fantastic.
Yeah,
but I know it's tough.
I think it is. Yeah, the con starts on a Wednesday, and it goes through Sunday. And it's like that Friday. I leave Friday night for California for our spring break trip, which is that next week. So yeah,
we're heading out Saturday for St. Augustine for our spring break.
Well,
So,
I hope you guys have fun.
talk about the library at Escape WinterCon. So it's not even a lot of some of the smaller conventions, smaller-ish, whatever. You have to bring your own games, right? There's no library, but Escape WinterCon has a library, and I believe it's your personal library mostly, right?
It is, and right now it's got about 2,000 games in it, and every year we pull 1 to 200 and add 1 to 200. So we're always trying to add new stuff, but we have a lot of the classic stuff and older games. And basically, if a game hasn't been played in 2 years by anybody at the con, then we'll pull it out. So that allows us to kind of cycle new stuff in and get rid of the stuff nobody's playing.
That's pretty crazy. That's your personal collection. One, that's a pretty impressive collection. But two is how much. So after the con, how long does it take you to get it back in order?
Well, usually we've got about 8 people helping, and we'll wrap it up and ship it. And then after that, it might take probably like 20 actual 4-hour sessions of me and somebody else going through it. And, so the more people that are there, the more we can pull stuff out and put the new stuff in. But yeah, it takes quite a bit of work. So, 2 or 3 weeks worth of work in total over the course of the year.
And that's sort of like making sure that no pieces went missing, or replacing missing pieces, or broken pieces, or worn out, things like that. I'm assuming.
Right. All that stuff gets pulled and set aside, and that's the first thing I go through is making sure all the stuff is there.
Where does it go in between cons?
Well, I have a storage space that basically I have to keep it all in because, it takes up quite a bit of space. So we'll keep it there, and
yeah, because those of us with a personal collection, we understand the amount of space it takes. I cannot imagine having that library of games and having to maintain that.
So you have a storage facility that holds most of the games, and then I assume you have your own sort of personal board, shelves at your house, and you can switch out and back and forth between your overall collection and what you keep at your house versus what's in the storage unit.
Yeah, and so things go in and out. There's a few games that are longer that I'll keep in the house all the time, like Shadows of Brimstone and other dungeon crawlers. But a lot of times, like the Euro games and the other like lighter games will constantly be cycling, where once a month I'll go to the storage area and swap stuff out, or when I get brand new stuff, I'll take stuff out of the house and put it in storage.
Cool. Very cool. It's great having you back on the show to talk and share about your passion. You've been running conventions for quite a while and have done a great job at them. We've loved everyone we've gone to. So we feel very, just appreciative. Just the fact that you know us and you continue to come join us here, it feels good. So thank you for participating with the Beans and Dice crew.
Well, thanks a lot for having me on. I always appreciate your guys' show, and you guys make me laugh when you do a lot of your top 10s and top 20s. So.
We have fun doing it, and it shows. We look forward to hearing how the convention went. I know Robert wants to go. I know Robert and his daughter are looking forward to checking out the new space and we want to hear those stories. For the folks at home, it's been Patrick Havert with Escape WinterCon and Quick Simple Fun Games, preparing for his Escape WinterCon 2025, which is going to be March 12th through the 16th. Tickets are still available. Some, not many left, but tickets are still available. Get onto the website, get your tickets, get your merch, sign up for any games that are already on the event. And if you want to share a passion for a game you have and teach it, make sure you sign up to host the game as well. Anything I missed, Patrick?
No, that should do it. But thanks a lot, guys. I certainly appreciate it. And have a great night. I'll be listening on my end.
Awesome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Patrick.
Good night, Patrick.
Good night.
All right. It's already a call-in show. That was fast.
I love it. Yeah.
We had a phone call in. Hey, folks, at home, we had Patrick from Escape WinterCon. Comment in, make sure you put a comment below. Tell us about your favorite cons. What's the season for you? So when is your con season? What are you planning to get to con-wise this year? Because we just had a great conversation with Patrick Havert of Escape WinterCon. Phone lines are still open for those of you that want to dial in and join us on the show. 813-618-7099 is the number. Today we're running with a light crew. It's a very light crew today. Just Carlos and Wayne. And we'll take phone calls.
There you go.
Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name, where you're calling from.
This is William of the Nerdy Weds.
My man.
Calling from down the road.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
How are you?
What have you guys been up to?
Just more gaming. It's going to be a busy year. It's going to be tough to get out to cons for me this year, but I'm looking forward to living vicariously through you and the cons that you get to.
Yeah, we're going to be at a con this weekend in Atlanta.
Which one's that?
Is
That's
the
MomoCon or is that...
Days of the Dead horror movie convention.
Okay. Very cool.
And then we're going to Mad Monster in a couple weeks after that, and then Escape Winter, and it's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
We just got off a cruise last weekend.
Living the life right there, man. That's yeah. You guys are on you guys are on cruises and going to cons. I'm at the soccer fields.
we're actually doing a group cruise in October for the Nerdy Weds. So extend an invitation out to you guys, but it's going to be on Virgin, so no kids allowed on that one.
Yep. That is an issue for a few more years, at least for me. For Carlos till the year like 2077.
Listen, Father Abraham had many sons. Many sons had.
About the time Cyberpunk comes out, when Carlos would be not without kids.
When it comes out.
Well, when it takes place, the year of its actual.
Oh, so that'll be that creepy feeling of like when you made it to the year of Back to the Future. It's like. We are in the post-apocalyptic.
Yeah. Carlos' first con.
COVID ruined it for me. I was going to do a cyberpunk costume for Dragon Con 2020 because the original Cyberpunk was Cyberpunk 2020.
2020, yeah.
And freaking COVID ruined it.
Yeah.
I'm doing that Dragon Con from home.
Now you got to wait till like 2077, right? Is the next one? That's like official Cyberpunk 2077. Yeah. I think Carlos's first con sans kids, he'll be like getting the senior citizenship discount.
Listen, God willing, I could make it alive that long. I put too many Oreos through this body.
Nah, you'll be fine. But
I'm counting on medical science to like catch up.
I am like sorry, go ahead, William.
No, you were saying something.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, Rob messaged us this week. Hey, let's go to Escape WinterCon. I'm like, really? Like, I really would love to go. Like, Escape. Hopefully next year it coincides a little bit because I know that our spring break kind of rotates and moves around, and but it'd be interesting to see. I'm looking forward. I think the new hotel, close to SeaWorld. It's a nicer, bigger hotel, more people. I think any convention can grow these days, especially in nerd culture. If you're a convention that's constantly shrinking, you're kind of doing something wrong. So there's just so many opportunities for people to get. So I'm excited for that. So it'd be good because I'm probably there.
As far as
you got to get Rob into a game of Blood on the Clock Tower. I think that's what needs to happen.
Right. No, that'd be great.
Sad part is
as
Rob
far as
can't
board
say
game
no.
cons, we're going to be at Escape Winter coming up, and we're also going to be attending Game and Party Con, which is a small one in St. Augustine. It's really good. It's a really good one, growing. He's got a great venue there in St. Augustine, and it's a really good show.
When is that one?
Oh, geez. I'm going to say it's, well, hold on. I can look it up on my phone. Game and PartyCon. Yeah. To what? She yelled at me from the bedroom, but I couldn't hear what she said.
That's why we love our wifeys. They help us figure this stuff out.
Let's see. I'm here to be.
It was in August last year, but she says they moved it to a different. I think it's like right after DragonCon, I want to say.
Let me see. I'm on here now. About us. Oh, September 18th through the 21st. Okay. That's a good one. I love the Jacksonville area. I love St.
DragonCon.
Yep. I love the St. Augustine area. I love that area. So cool.
They have some great things going for them there.
I haven't been there since I was a kid. We're taking the family as this year, spring break. We're going to go spend the week in St. Augustine. I have no idea what I'm doing other than the fort and a lighthouse. I hear there's a lighthouse there.
There's the lighthouse. There's a fort. There's a really awesome art museum. Because at the Flagler College, there's an art museum there.
You get a chance, you need to go to the diesel fueling station and have the jalapeno popper burger.
I think I'm good. That sounds
it's amazing. It's so good. No, it's not spicy. I don't do spicy, but it is really good.
I don't do spicy. Ketchup is my hot sauce.
It's about as spicy as a jalapeno popper.
I do like jalapeno poppers. All right, this I'm writing this down. The diesel.
I think it's called the diesel filling station. It's right across that bridge with the lions on it.
I'm writing this down.
Or the filling station or the gas station. It's one of those things. It's like a jalapeno popper burger.
William's going to have me at some random gas station asking for a burger.
It used to be a gas station back in the day, and they transformed it into a restaurant. And it's pretty good.
I'm going to get food poisoning from eating some gas station food thanks to William.
It was featured on Food Network. One of the chefs on Food Network put it on their favorite things list several years ago.
Yeah, so you have the lighthouse, you have the fort, you have the whole historic district that you can walk up and down. Flagler College, there's a Flagler College art museum, which is really pretty cool. There's another art museum right there too. And then for the younger kids, there's like this pirate museum, which can be fun. It's like right across from the fort.
I'm looking forward to seeing the fort.
It's cool.
It reminds me, what I see online reminds me of the fort in Puerto Rico and San Juan and Morro.
Very much.
So that's what because I built around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to see you guys at Dice Tower?
Yes. Yep.
I will not be at Dice Tower this year.
What?
We had to move up our family vacation to spring break instead of summer break because our second son, 2 out of 5, I call him, 2 out of 5 is turning 18. Oh, geez.
Well, at least you got rid of one of them.
In 5 days, he turns 18. And we don't know if he'll be shipping out this summer or not, what his plans are. And so I don't want to wait and miss an opportunity to have one last, family vacation.
That sounds great.
We're pushing everything up.
We still just buy you a ticket. You can drive over for a day or two. Just drive over. Game on the weekend. But I'm sure there'll be a ton of the Beans Dice crew at Dice Tower. I know a number of us have already bought tickets and hotels and things like that. So we'll be there.
Another thing, one of the games you guys introduced me to through your show, Comic Hunters.
Oh, so good, right?
We had a copy of it delivered overnight from Amazon a few weeks back. Loving the hell out of it. Just got done sleeving it today.
It's such a good game. I mean, the production value of the American version is not the best. The Brazilian version wasn't that much better, but but the gameplay is so good. Like I love the 4 mini games and the theme of it. Like you can really this is how you go. Uh-huh. You go to a comic book convention and you're flipping through 1,000 boxes looking for your thing, and you're going online buying that one comic you want, and you're going to this store and buying the new comic. I love the themes and the artwork on that so much.
I was at Barnes and Noble, and they had a copy. I was telling my older son about it, and if it wasn't for the production issues in that American run, like I would have already bought a copy. But I've just seen, I don't want to play that lottery where you end up with the one that has the misaligned cards.
But if you do, though, I'm sure that Spin Master would send you a new one.
You sure?
Yeah.
Yeah, Spin Master would definitely. If you show a picture, hey, I got one of the 1 in 1,000 that's really bad, because really that whole the the one video we saw of a content creator where his copy was really foobar. What I've seen online is that was very rare. Like that was like 1 in 1,000 was like that. And
Mine looks great.
Yeah.
Yours looks good.
Yeah, it's just the card.
Oh yeah, it looks
is
great.
not the best, yeah.
All right. Well, then
Yeah.
I might end up scooping it up. My son loves Marvel. The whole idea of the comic book collecting seemed very interested in that. I picked it up and put it down because I was worried about the components in there.
Yeah, I you know the little cardboard chits are going to be very flimsy, but we can. I'm sure.
Yeah,
I
they're
haven't.
terrible.
Yeah, I haven't printed out like my own versions of it yet, but because I have a Brazilian copy, which are a little thicker. But there are tons of things on Thingiverse to print out your own,
Right.
tokens and stuff. So,
Or you can go on Etsy and somebody else will print them out for you.
yeah, I print them out in like multicolor printing, and it's all pretty. It's only like $10.
Right.
Yeah, it's worth it. Yeah. So you guys have,
my only complaint with the game is it's got so much fiddle to it. It's got so many little things to move around on the board. It just gets kind of fiddly and easy to mess it up. You know, everybody's trying to occupy the same spaces with their little tokens, and
Yeah, the little tag tokens can be small, especially for giant hands like yours.
stacking them up and things like that can be crazy. But I know you guys are comic book fans too. So I mean, just seeing all those comic book covers though, that kind of makes up for it, at least in my opinion.
right. It does. I can't wait for my brother to play it. He doesn't even know I have it yet, and he's a big time comic book collector. He loves the hobby. So, where I'm with board games, he's with comic books.
Yep. Now I know we talked about it last week. I think last week when Pop and Tot from Texas called in. Video Game Champion is the next one that I need to get. That's another Brazilian import to the American market.
Oh.
And if you're not familiar with this one, it's Video Game Champion is go back to when you were like 10 years old and we were all getting the Super Nintendo or the PlayStation, the first ones, and you'd be renting games from Blockbuster, and you had a couple of days to beat it. And if you beat it, you have to make a save or return the disc, return the cartridge. And Video Game Champion is you're basically you're playing a kid back in the day, and you're trying to get video games, complete them to score like victory points, and but you don't have the money to buy the game, right? So you can do chores to get money for your parent or grandparent to then go buy the game or rent the game. And it's
oh, that's great.
Yeah. So it's like you teleport yourself back to the little kid going to Blockbuster or Hollywood Video, whatever, back in the day, either renting a video game. You have 2 days to beat it. If you beat it, then you get victory point. You get the token. I beat this game. And if you beat a certain amount of games, so it's another Brazilian import that I missed playing last year at Dice Tower East, but I think I need to go buy a copy of it because the theme, like for me, I love gaming and I love Euro gaming. Carlos, I love the old guys on the cover, the old European guys on the cover, but I really, really get into a game that if they hit the theme, so like Rococo or Lords of Waterdeep, Comic Hunters, so like, if the theme hits, I mean, like Distilled, another one that so I definitely need to play this Video Game Champion because everyone that's played it said it's a fun game. It's not it's not like crazy hard. It's a good midweight kind of Euro-y, collecting set collection and doing the video games, but just the theme of it just hits because that's like my childhood. So,
oh, that'd be great. I could check that one out.
Yeah, that's what we've been up to. Lots of family gaming.
Damn it. You keep introducing me to new games. I need to stop talking to you. You gonna be at Dragon Con, Wayne?
Yes. Yep. We'll be at Dragon Con. Sans child
Awesome.
this year. No
We
child.
had to see each other this time.
Yeah. Well, did we see you at Kriegstad's at least, right? Last year?
No, I didn't make it to Cruise Shadows. That's my
Oh,
fault. But yeah, suffering from alcohol poisoning or something. I don't know.
Something like that.
Or trying to get there.
I think this is my wife's 20th Dragon Con, so I think we're not bringing the child this year. No child. So
wow.
we are more free.
Sans child.
Sans child. Yes.
Oh, Wayne is going to be unsupervised.
Yes. Yeah. Although I will say I did really the last 2 years bringing him has been a lot of fun and doing some of the kids events.
No, yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's like you see, that's what I love about a big con like Dragon Con is you can go as an adult, solo, and have your experience, and you go as adult with your significant other and have a different experience. You go with a group of friends and have an experience. You can bring your child and have a completely different experience, and there's like all these different facets of life that you can have in there. So it was fun. So
you can make a wrong turn in a venue and have a completely different experience. Just discovering a whole different part of the convention. You're like, I've been going to this con for 15 years. Where the hell did this come from?
Yeah. We saw that a bunch last year with the kids. So yeah, it was fun.
William, always good to have you
running
on.
Blood on the Clock Tower there at Dragon Con.
At Dragon Con?
Yeah, look forward to... What's that?
At Dragon Con?
Yeah, I've been running for the last couple of years at Dragon Con. We usually set up in the Hilton.
Nice. That's what we'd like to see.
But they have like organized games of it now.
Oh,
the Werewolf and a bunch of other games.
They have whole giant...
You know that Dragon Con is a board game convention, Carlos.
I showed up the year that I went, and the board game area was just sparse. It was so... I went to my car and grabbed my copy of Blood Bowl and brought it in there and tried to teach Rob how to play Blood Bowl, because that's how sparse the board game area was that year. I think it was 2018 or 2019.
Okay. Now it's in its own convention center. It's pretty popular. It's pretty packed in there a lot of times.
It can be, yeah.
Especially during the day. But guys, I'll let you go so you can talk to somebody else. It was really great talking to you guys and catching up.
Thank you for making it a call-in show. We appreciate you.
2 calls. There we go.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks, William. Have a good one.
Yep. Phone lines are back open. 813-618-7099 is the number. We are here talking about board games, talking to you about gaming that you got going on.
But I see something to your right there. I left your right. Sorry. Yeah, what's that right there?
The stack of stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to see this table. It's bad. I've been trying to reorganize some of the shelf.
Carlos acquisition disorder.
I thought I could hide all this, but oh man, I have no, the table is covered. Wayne, the table is covered. Oh, can't even see it with that one. But this whole side of the table is covered. I'm trying to organize kind of in the way you said, like take all the games down and then put your favorites back up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm at right now.
All right. And the ones that don't make it back on, you're just going to sell and get rid of, right?
No. They're going to go on the floor. Those are going to be called floor games.
Or all the expansions are just going in the base box, and you can throw out the expansion boxes.
There's shelf games, which are my favorites. Then there's floor games, which are okay. I still want access to them. And then there's like way above high, you'll never touch these again games. That's like... It's not top shelf like liquor. Like I need them right there where I can get to them.
Yeah.
This is a stack of Hero Quest I've been playing with my son, and I'm loving it. I'm having a blast.
That one there that your hands on looks like it's in shrink.
But most of them are like.
But so
they're adventure packs. Oh yes, these are news. They are recent.
That's what I'm saying. They're
more recent.
Yeah.
I still haven't opened up the quest packs from the original campaign from 2021.
Nice.
So I still have those in sealed because they were sticker boxes.
And a copy of Trio looks like a new acquisition.
Yep, that's one that came in this year or this month. Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name. Where are you calling from?
Hello, Carlos. This is your friend Sean. How are you?
Mickety Mac Daniel. How are you?
What's going on?
Hey, folks. This is my friend Sean Mack. He and I, man, we went to church together for years. We would run the AV board. I'm going to snitch. I don't know if anyone from church is watching, but while we run the AV board during service, he'd have his WoW up on his computer. So he'd be...
Yes, and thank you, Jesus. I quit playing World of Warcraft many years ago, which is good.
You got over that one?
Lord have mercy. Oh, Lord, thank you. Yes.
So one of us would cover for the other. Well, he had to get some hack and slash in, so I'd cover the audio or the video.
They are doing some good stuff now. You can start with, you can go back and play base vanilla. They have a couple new expansions to WoW that have been kind of interesting. So there's a lot of cool things you can do back in the WoW world.
Yeah, and that's a good. That's actually why I'm calling, is because the video game industry has completely changed. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how you guys are seeing the board game industry change over the past, especially now with the new, and I know we don't want to get political, especially with the new administration and the wokeness, and especially the 40K controversy that happened with all of the wokeness that got embedded with it. And we all know Henry Cavill got involved, and just, that whole shenanigans. And even right now, the video game industry is becoming completely a different landscape. I don't know if you guys know about gacha games. Do you guys know about the gacha game environment?
No.
Okay, that's a good thing. But, games like Genshin Impact and stuff like that, those games they started taking over. And I guess that would be kind of like Magic, where you're, Magic the Gathering, where you're kind of gambling on the cards. You buy the card pack and you hope you're going to get, a good card. Is that, am I correct? See, I'm not a big board gamer. Like, I try to hook up with Carlos, but can't afford the game.
Yeah, you say that, but all the video games you buy and all the Gundam, just saying.
Yeah, true.
We each have our plastic crack, our own plastic crack.
Fortunately, that's taken a good backseat lately. So, but yeah. So anyway, I just kind of was wondering, to spark a conversation, or for more, for something to talk about, is how do you guys feel with the whole wokeness, the woke that came in, now it's kind of going away, how that's impacted the board game industry? Do you think it has at all? Have y'all seen any kind of thing about it, or do you think it hasn't really impacted much at all?
See, and I know a little bit about the video game stuff that you're talking about recently, because I've seen some of these articles. I follow news outlets, and they kind of blend board games and video games sometimes. So, for example, the new Assassin's Creed, right? There's like the hubbub about the Japanese character. It's a Japanese samurai theme, but apparently the Japanese market is upset about how they decided to portray the character. So I know what you're talking about. Like every week, I feel like there's a different article that comes out about some of the issues with games that were created to create almost like a safe space, but then they end up just tanking. So I know what you mean by that, but I haven't seen anything equal to that in the board game world, where you're seeing it come up at all. Like I haven't seen a change in direction, a change in marketing. It seems it's not that we're immune to it, Wayne. I don't think we're so niche to the niche already. There's no one covering it. If there is, there's no issues. I don't see it. It's so different. I mean, Ubisoft messed something up. That's pretty big. There's a lot of people. But
right.
One small publisher comes up with a crazy board game on Kickstarter. It just kind of falls away like a fart in the wind.
Well, that's funny. So yeah, and I don't know. There was a small delay here, so sorry about that if I'm talking over you.
No, you're not. Just stick to the phone. Don't listen to the YouTube. Stick to the phone, and
no,
you'll be good.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know if you remember. I was able to get in the Kickstarter with the Infinity game.
Yes.
And I had purchased that entire thing. And we were kind of go over it, but then I think the whole world changed, because I think that was right about when COVID started coming down, and it just kind of, the whole thing kind of went away for a while. So maybe one day we'll get back on that.
And I actually saw my first video of that being played just a couple of months ago. It was the first time that I saw somebody actually playing that game. It kind of disappeared. It was a dungeon crawl version of Infinity. Wayne, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Infinity. It's a miniatures tabletop war game. You have a small skirmish base, so maybe 6 to 8 models, but they're all very, very specialized. It's a gorgeous game system. The terrain that it came with was super easy to set up. It's almost cyberpunkish, I would say. I don't know how, futuristic, neon signs. Think like dark streets, neon signs, Japanese kind of a feeling to it. Did I describe that wrong,
Right.
Wayne?
You kind of lost me there.
Okay, I figured I would.
Yeah. Anyway, well, I appreciate you taking my call. I just thought that would kind of be an interesting tidbit of I didn't know, because I mean, fortunately, I'm still in the gaming world, but not as near as much as it used to be, and it's been a great blessing to not be part of that as much. Trying to get out of that, and we still play our couple of games you gave us, and board game wise, CJ just loves us. That's my wife, and she loves hooking up and playing those games. Terry and Nathan, they're getting older now, and
It's crazy because my Julian turns 18 in next week. When does Kyrie turn 18?
She just turned 17, so she's
Okay. She was almost a year
back
behind
into-
Julian.
Yeah.
We go way back, Wayne. We go way back. Our kids
That's cool.
were
Yeah.
little kids. Yeah, I would love that place. I've got a few games that I can introduce you to. I don't have a lot of games. I have a few.
Just a couple.
Yeah, a few I see. Some that are on the floor. I'm sure that we can't.
That this
Floor,
is,
the
this is a
ceiling, the
fact.
garage, the room next door. In the Amazon package getting delivered tomorrow.
Shh.
You've just been told on Carlos. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Wayne just took you out.
Yes.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking my call, and it was good talking with you guys. So
It is,
you
Bobby.
guys have
Great
a
to hear
wonderful
from you,
night.
brother.
All right, we'll talk to you later,
See
brother.
you, Sean.
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Like for y'all at home, whatever. Look, I get to catch up with friends, like longtime friends. Got William calling in. Got my buddy Sean calling in. Great time. Thank you all for calling. Phone lines are still open. 813-618-7099 is the number. What do we got in the chat?
Our Steven Sites here, new board order. Finally hit the cull hard. Since December, I've sold or traded 50 to 60 games. Carlos doesn't even understand that sentence.
I don't know.
You don't comprehend? No? You all good?
And no Nintendo. no Nintendo.
Chris saying hi. How's it going, Chris? So, yeah. We talked about Piranha Pig Con. That's from Blue Peg Pink Peg. Dwarf Con, or Cabin Con for short of, in August. Maybe another Cabin Con. I like Tantrum Con, PAX U. I like the Cabin Con. So a lot of people do this thing where it's like, let's go rent this. And we have talked about this in the Beans and Dice crew, is like, there are some massive houses in Orlando, like where it's like, 10-bedroom house, and you can rent it for like, I don't know, let's say $800 a night, whatever it is. But if you have 10 bedrooms, you could literally bring 20, 30 people, and you have this Cabin Con where we're going to rent this house for the weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Everyone split the cost of the house. We'll cook food, we'll order pizza, whatever. And then people bring games and you just play. And it's, and I think Bowser, friend of the show up in Maryland, friend of Nick Oben's, he does something similar up in Maryland where, they go to a Bowser Con. It's just, I don't know how many, 10, 15 friends, and you just play games all weekend. That's like, so there's like the local con, there's the big con, there's the big game con, there's the Gen Cons and whatever. And then there's your own personal con where you just get a group of friends and rent the house, or someone has a cabin somewhere and you spend the weekend playing games. So there's plenty of opportunities to do stuff like that. So it's fun.
Yes. I've seen Bonacore. Stephen Bonacore has talked about a lot of those events that he's gone to and done. I think even Alan Moon with his
Gathering of friends.
Gathering of friends kind of an idea.
That's interesting. So Alan R. Moon started this thing years ago where, again, it was a Cabin Con for him and his friends. And it's become an industry insider thing now where it's like, if you're a player in the board game universe, you kind of go to, this. And it's like that one, the Gathering of Friends, is like it's at least 2 weeks long. Where
wow.
people come and go from this, it's like, yeah, I think it's at least a week long, if not 2 weeks long. I remember hearing some people talking about where it's like 10 days. Some people, they were 10 or 12 days long. So it's a kind of a big thing. So
Tantrum Con seems pretty interesting. That group of folks, we've met them at Dice Tower. They seem like a great group of folks that would seem to be very pleasant when they host an event.
yeah, You know, it's interesting. I don't know, in the small world of social media, right? When you log into Facebook and all of a sudden you get like people like friend, like, hey, do you know this person, right? And so one of the guys from Tantrum Con, the guy that always wears the caps, I forget his name now. My brain's freezing. Anyway, every so often on Facebook, it recommends like, hey, you probably know this person because you have like 45 friends in common. And I'm like, how do I have 45 friends in common with like the guy who runs one of the main guys from Tantrum House? But turns out, I guess before he got in Tantrum House, and I guess that's their full-time job now, he worked in the same industry I worked in. So like when I looked at all of his friends are people that I work with or have worked with throughout the industry. And I'm like, oh, so this guy used to work in the same industry as me and has gone into the board game world. But it's interesting that I never met him as part of what I do for a living versus what I do for fun. So, but yeah, it's kind of interesting. Hey, like every now and then you see somebody on social media where you're like, I know that person because I listened to their show or I've listened to their podcast or I've seen them in the X, and it says I have 10 people in common that I'm friends with. And you click on it, you go, oh, all right, interesting. So it was kind of fun. So, oh, there we go. Tantrum Con is fantastic, says Steven. I'm mainly skipping PAX U, so I hopefully can go to Tantrum Con in 2026. Cool. PAX U is big in Philly. That's
yeah, it keeps growing. The folks from Ant Lab, they're always posting out there. They have their Discord that they had.
They live
you'd see
nearby
great
there,
posts.
right?
Yep, they live nearby. They had great posts sharing that love. I don't know. The closest I would say I got to that whole cabin con feel was the Dice Tower Retreat. The Dice Tower Retreat felt so intimate is the word I'd use. Because it was just no big events, just one room to play games in, and it was open 24/7, and you just kind of made your own schedule. There's no scheduled events. You put up a game, put up a sign looking for players, and fill up that game. Yeah. You know, you use the Facebook board to find people that wanted to play the same games you did, and then you connected on Messenger and made it happen. That year, I think I got to play three or four games of Clash of Cultures. That was a great year. The Monumental Edition. That was a great year. I can only round Rob up for one of them. He only committed to play one of them.
Cool. So,
right, what you got?
The burning question for me is: so I see a stack of Hero Quest. I see Trio. Have we opened up Finspan yet?
Finspan has been opened, and the rules have been read. I'm currently reading the Automa rules.
So easy.
It does look a little simple on the Automa rules, so I think I'm going to set up a two-handed play for myself, just kind of run through the turns to see how it feels. I'm not sure how it's going to feel. Like the rules felt very light. I want to see where the decision space is.
Yeah, you'll see when you play. I mean, I think what it is so I've gotten a chance to play it a few times now. So I'm hoping that has Rob gotten his copy from you yet or no?
No, because he didn't come last week, and then this week he had his procedure thing for his eyeball.
We gotta get the games out to folks, but it's easier to teach than Wingspan, but I don't think you lose very much complexity when you're actually playing.
I'm curious about that open hand and then the side discard. It kind of reminds me of Expedition. Mm-hmm. Is that the name of it? The side-based game?
Yeah, where you have your hand and you have
like it just kind of weirds me out, that idea of my hands on the table in front of you. Why are you calling it a hand then?
Yeah, but you don't have to necessarily play that way. I mean, you kind of just play with your hand and then you have your discard pile. I love the fact I'm a huge fan of Wingspan. But it does get annoying sometimes when you're not getting the food you need. You have to try to cycle through to find the food you need. This one is, you don't have that problem. It's just what cards are you going to discard as the cost of the fish? Or
yes, because there's a lot of fish, have a lot of placing stuff has a cost of getting rid of stuff, and I like that.
Yeah,
I like that idea of having to, what card will I burn in order to, it almost reminds me of War of the Rings, the card game. Mm-hmm. Every time you play a card, you got to get rid of a card. And they're all good cards.
Yep. Yep. But the good thing here is you can get back that card, right? Because there's like in the 3 dives, there's one dive that gets you a bunch of eggs. There's one dive that gets you a bunch of cards, and there's one dive that lets you pull cards from the discard pile. So
the bonefish.
Yeah, it's some good stuff. So,
but then there's that mechanism in there about the Natoma.
The Natoma.
I did catch that nautical theme to it. I did see the rule in there where if you ever run through the entire draw pile, then everyone has to give up their discard piles into the main pile again.
What was that again?
If you run through the whole draw pile, the community draw pile,
Yeah, but that's like
then you shuffle up all the discards.
there's like 500 cards in that draw pile.
Okay. So
You're not gonna go through that very much.
it kind of made me think of Finca, where one
if
player
people-
can pull all the
Pull
resources
enough,
back
yeah.
from all the others. I thought is that going to be like a strategy? No.
But I think what I am not someone who gets into solo gaming very much because I like the social aspect of it too. And nine times out of 10, I will go, hey, I haven't played a game in a while. I'm just gonna go set up a solo game. I'll set up the solo game while watching something, and then after I get it set up, it took so long for me to set it up and get it ready. I'm just like, nah, I'm good. Just pack it back up. And even if I set up a day ahead of time, again, coming back to it's rough. So what I found, like that's why the Red Rising game that I've put on I've loved is because that solo game is easy to set up, it's quick to play, and that's what I am loving about Finspan right now is that the Natoma, setting it up and playing just a solo game of it. It's 30 minutes or under for a span type game, right? So it's not just super easy, and it's very easy to set up, very easy to break down. So I like it, and I played it with 2-3 players so far. So all right, beans and dice. We'll get the beans on that in the near future, hopefully. But so far, I'm liking it. So I think you'll like it, Carlos. When you play it,
I think I will. I definitely think I will. And I'm with you. I'd rather play with others, but I also like the setup of the solo game because it helps me really understand how the game plays, and it makes it easier for me to teach when I get someone to the table.
Yep.
But for me, a lot of the solo experience of putting games on the table is just to remind me of how to set up, how to play, what are the rules, nuances of the game, and then I'll set up a game just to remember how to set it up and then put it away. No problem. Let's see. Nice. Chris in the chat says video game champion for the win.
Yeah,
I did watch his video that he and his son put out during the premiere. There seems to be a lot to that game.
There's a lot of little moving parts, I think. But yeah, it's definitely one I need to try soon. Because
mad props to his son sitting there so quiet and during the whole game explanation, the boy, Tot was just sitting there, just looking at the camera quietly, waiting for his turn to speak. So I was like, wow, this is such a great connection the two have there with the video games or the board games.
Yep.
All right, let's talk a little bit about This Week in Gaming Twig, as we call it, This Week in Gaming. Any recent purchases or any plays? That's what we'll talk about.
Yeah, for me, no recent purchases, although I got my notification today of the deluxe big box for Canvas is shipped, so I'll be getting that soon. I really do enjoy Canvas. I'm bad at it. I love the game, but I'm bad at it. But so I'm looking forward to the big box because it's supposed to also help with setup, which I like because if we expand. You play a base game and you get the expansions. You don't play the expansions because it's hard to integrate. But this kind of big box does all that, so that's pretty good. That's really the only new acquisition I would have, or I will have shortly. So, and then we'll get into the gaming. But new acquisitions for you? You got what you got over there? You got a whole stack.
Oh, I did get one. Hang on. There's a couple things I want to. I got to get them out the stack. Hang on here, Wayne.
Get them out the stack. And that's not including the Trio and the Hero Quest and several other games in Shrink.
No, because we talked about that last show.
Let's see, Steven says he got Planet Unknown Deluxe and the expansion. Now, I really do like Planet Unknown. That's a good game. I love that. And am I getting it right? Planet Unknown's the one with it has the Lazy Susan in your skin.
Yeah, what I call the Publix sub tray.
I love that. It's a good game.
Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name. Where you calling from?
Howdy, Carlos and Wayne. It's Chris. How y'all doing tonight?
Hey, good. How you doing?
From Texas.
Hello, Chris. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I just caught up with William on the chat because I've been a little behind, but I got to hear his call. So got to hear his thoughts on things. And
Friend of the show,
what are you guys talking
William.
about right now?
He's a big RPG guy. For a while there, we had a series going once a month. We were talking RPGs between him and Wayne, myself, and Ron. So we had a good time. We got to meet him and his lovely wife. So it's always great catching up with friends of the show from years ago that continue to pop in and kind of catch us up on how they're doing. What we're talking about right now is we're in the Twig, the TWIG, This Week in Gaming. Anything in the Twig you want to contribute this week in gaming?
Yeah, I'll briefly share on the Sushi Go Anniversary Edition, 10-year anniversary edition.
I saw it at Barnes and Noble, and I kept thinking about it. But I have Sushi Go, the regular one, and I've only played it once about 15 years ago. So, it's still here. I still own it. I just never play it. Tell me about this box. Will it help it get back to the table?
Yeah, if you like deluxe components, it will. So the cards themselves are exceptional quality. They're very thick. They have this amazing back to them that has designs, like special design on them with this gold kind of foil look. So the card quality is just way better than the original. So that's number one. The artwork's the same on the other side. The back side's different. The front side's the same. So nothing changed there. The box is amazing. It's got this thick wooden box cover, which I've personally never seen in a game. I don't know. Maybe there's some old school war games out there that have that, but it's this thick wooden lid, and it has the kind of not Velcro, but suction, kind of the little rubber suction kind of edge around there, so you have a tight fit. So it just slides in really well and stays in there nicely. So that, and then it has Phil Walker Harding's autograph on it. And then it has the number like what Stonemeyer Games does.
It was like 8,009 was the copy at Barnes and Noble in Wesley Chapel. I mean, I was looking at it. It's like, oh
wow, 8,009. Yeah, there's out of 10,000 or something. Is that right? I think it's 10,000. It's like, yeah, 10,000. I got 399 out of 10,000.
I thought about pulling the trigger, but I have so many games.
I understand. But I checked the Discord channel to recent plays, and I took a picture of it tonight. I opened up all the components and let you guys see it. Let's see. So it's got a nice box, way better than that original 10 from Sushi. Obviously better than the original Sushi Go, which is the cardboard box for the cards. Has a very nice rule book. It also has Phil Walker Harding's little signature on the front. It's laid out nicely. Has a box. Yeah, it has a box for all the cards. A really thick cardboard box for all the cards with great artwork on it. He's got his little signature on there. Comes with 5 plates, plastic plates that are really thick, good quality plastic. Comes with a boat with a sail on there, and that's whoever's in the lead each round gets the boat in front of them, so that I guess people can maybe hate draft a little bit, or kind of keep their focus on the leader, which I think is kind of a neat little touch.
That's
it's a very
great.
Nice boat.
That way, other people don't have to be passive aggressive. Don't have to point out who the leader is. It's easily identifiable.
Exactly. Yeah. Then it has a little squishy strawberry adorable dessert. So they had that with the spin some for dim sum, little squishy bun.
Yes.
It's kind of like that, but it's better looking. It's better quality, but it has strawberry on the top with strawberry topping, and it's on a plate. So really good quality strawberry dessert, squishy, thing. It has that. Then you have 2 different types of cubes. You have the green and the dark green and the light green. The dark green are 5-point cubes, and the light green are 1-point cubes. Keep track of your score from round to round. I'm looking at it right now, so I don't miss anything. Has a giant plate where you put all of the cubes. You put that in the middle, and all the cubes just go there, and then you pull the cubes as you score points. It has 5 12-sided dice, which are all different colors, denoting each player. Very good quality dice. and that's for one of the dessert variants. There are a total of 5 desserts in the game. So what we've been doing is we'll play a game, we'll swap out the dessert, play a different game, swap out the dessert. So you could play the game 5 times and you'll see all the desserts. But it gives you good variability than over the original Sushi Go with those 5 dessert options. And they all change up the game. Well, there's 2 that are very similar, but then the rest of them are all different. And there's even these little cards where you warm them up to see how many points they give you, and you can't warm them up till the end of the game to see what they're worth. And they're frozen yogurt. So, and the artwork's really nice on all the new cards they added. And then it's got a custom insert. Everything fits in perfectly. I mean, it's just a perfect fit. I think that's about it. But
the one thing that I question or that I wonder is I love Sushi Go. I've wanted to get Sushi Go Party for a number of years. I haven't yet. But then this deluxe version is really just Sushi Go with a couple of modules. It doesn't include all of the extra stuff that you would have gotten in Sushi Go Party. And so I kind of feel like
correct.
This would have been this would have been a grand slam home run if it was a deluxe version of Sushi Go with what you just described and all the parts of Sushi Go Party. But the fact that it's just Sushi Go with some bells and whistles, I'm like, really? You couldn't just do it all? Like,
right? Because I've been wanting the party edition. Like I've been wanting to buy that, and I thought the deluxe was going to be that, and that's kind of why I put it back down. I'm like, oh well, I already have Sushi Go.
Yeah, and they could have done that with a higher price point. So this retails for $30, which what you get, it's a good deal.
Yeah.
But if they put all the party cards in there too, it'd easily be another $10.
Sure.
It'd be a $40 game.
And I would have already definitely bought it. Like
that's a little high.
It's super pretty. I love it. But it's really Sushi Go with 5 different desserts instead of the one. It's got some bells and whistles, but it doesn't include all the cool stuff from Party as well. And I feel like that was kind of a misstep here.
Yeah, I agree. I think the downside is, because the card quality is upgraded. So maybe it would have bumped it up a little more than $10 because the card quality is exceptional. Like I remember the original Sushi Go, very thin, fairly flimsy cards. Not that I think the coating's pretty good on it. It's kind of a glossy coating. But they're very thin.
Coating. Yeah. I mean, because my copy of Sushi
and that's
Party,
good.
My Party of Sushi Go, I've probably played it 100 times or more. And they're getting a little wear and tear, but they're still playable.
Yeah, so pretty decent quality. This is this exceptional card quality. I mean, when you're holding the cards, I mean, there's no reason to sleeve it, Carlos. When you're holding those cards in your hand, it just feels good. So you get a lot of tactile,
I was just
sensation.
thinking about this exact topic that you just brought up because I sleeved my copy of Lost Cities today, my new copy of Lost Cities, because the cards are so flimsy. And then I thought about it. I've also used the excuse of I've sleeved the game because the cards are so great. I don't want them to get damaged. So, like, is there a middle that I can find where the cards are good enough where I shouldn't sleeve them, right? But not so good that I want to protect them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ever had that? Like, anybody else dealt with it? I thought about that today while sleeving. Like, why am I sleeving this game? It's a $15 game. I just spent like half that price for some sleeves. Because the cards are crappy and they're so thin, they're so floppy. I'd rather have them in a sleeve.
Yeah, if the cards, like for instance, Comic Hunters, prime example of a great game to sleeve. The cards are very thin; they're not good quality. It's a game you're going to play multiple times. You're going to handle those cards multiple times. You're going to shoot cards multiple times. You need to sleeve them, in my opinion. But if you have a game where the card quality is very thick card stock, in my opinion, you don't need to waste money on sleeves. Because they hold up so well. I don't want my copy of Comic Hunters to get the cards messed up, because they're so thin and flimsy. They will if I play it enough.
Yeah, they'll dog
That's
ear.
That's kind of how I look at it.
They'll tear.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I only have.
That's my personal opinion.
I think in my entire 600 board game collection, I have 3 games that are sleeved.
Wow, I have so much plastic in this room. I'm being bombarded by microplastics from all directions.
There you go. Comic Hunters, Comic Hunters, Rococo, and Brass are the only ones that I've sleeved. So,
Well,
yeah.
but see, you're protecting your investment, right? Because Rococo is an expensive game, so this is still a $30 game we're talking about. The anniversary edition. Rococo is very expensive. What's like 120 or something?
Something like that, yeah. And even the fancy
so
versions
I could
of Brass.
see that.
Yeah, and what is it like? I had sleeves in the house, and I'm like, well, these games are. I love Brass and I love Rococo. They're two of my top 5 all-time games. And I think when I got the fancy versions, I'm like, okay, I want to keep them nice. And then when I got my copy of Comic Hunters, it was still the Brazilian copy. There was no US version. So I'm like, well, I'm going to be showing a lot of people how to play this game, and it's probably going to play it a lot. So let's protect it because,
Yeah, we had no idea if it was ever coming to the States at that time.
Yeah. So, but cool. I like it.
Totally. And then lastly, did you guys get a chance to check out the review for Video Game Champion? And if so, what are your thoughts on the gameplay? Is it something you think you might like to play?
That we actually just talked about that before you called, and yeah, we both watched you and your kids' video. Loved it.
I watched it during the premiere, so that was fun to watch it. Like I didn't know that was a thing. I've never done a premiere video, so that was pretty cool. You sent me that link, and I was able to watch it during the premiere.
Oh, thank you, Carlos.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. I definitely, it's one. I'm almost tempted to just buy it, but I'm trying my best this year to not buy before I play. Although I already failed with FinSpan, I definitely. It's the theme, the gameplay seems pretty good. Seems like something that even my wife would definitely get into because she's a huge video game person. So I think she would. That would hit a niche for her of reminiscing from her childhood too. So yeah, it's in there.
Okay.
It's not. I didn't grow up playing video games like that, right? So like the lot of the connections that you made in the games and the having the grandparents and like none of that stuff hit for me. It looked it did not hit. And I think for me right now, a lot of things are theme based. That's what draws me to a game.
Absolutely. I will say this, my son has no relationship with the theme other than the video game aspect. So he likes playing video games, but other than that, there's no connection. He's never had a video game magazine. He's never rented a video game.
Never called into the Nintendo.
Never bought a video game.
Never called into the Nintendo helpline.
Hotline? Yeah, none of that.
Do you know who used to work for those hotline, the Nintendo player assist hotline way back in the day? Is Rado from Rado Runs Through.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
That's funny.
He was, if you don't know, he lived in Cyprus or somewhere in the Mediterranean, right? So he was a lead game designer for Siphon Filter, which was an old video game that was super popular. And if you actually find, he was a big video game developer and project lead. So way back in the day, he made some serious money and royalties, and that's why he kind of semi-retired to, Greece or wherever it was, and got into the board gaming industry as a side thing. But yeah, he before even he was in as a video game developer, he worked for the Nintendo or Sony's helpline, where he'd sit in a cubicle with a book of cheat codes and desk helps, and people would call up and asking him, and he would
I can definitely see why he's into the board game side. It's something about the I'm not gonna say older, it's not board game or video game developers from that time period. I think are probably a lot of board gamers today, right?
Yeah,
probably. There was more story involved there, and it was the medium for getting that story across was much more limited now than what feels like watching a movie when I watch my kids play these modern video games. Or I feel like it's the cinema people are the ones that are creating the stories now.
10-minute, you play action, you get a 10-minute cutscene and things like that. Yeah.
Whereas you had to develop a story through all 16 bits that you had available.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I would say, Wayne, if you and your wife like the theme, it's a no-brainer. Just a matter of when. Because if you like the theme, it really comes alive. It's very thematic. And the gameplay is fun, too. I mean, I can't think of one negative thing I have about the gameplay. I mean, the gameplay is great. but the theme really brings it to life. So I think that's a win-win for you. Carlos, if you like video games, playing video games, you might like it. It could be hit or miss. It's definitely worth playing for you, but not worth buying if you don't like the theme.
It was almost like Comic Hunters for me. Like, I never grew up collecting comics. I'm not a Marvel guy. I'm glad I played it, and I saw a lot of the connections that are woven in it on, I've taken my kids to comic book conventions to pick some comic books. I've been to comic book stores, so I kind of saw some of those connections. So it's when I'll say when Wayne buys it, then I'll be able to play it.
Yep. Okay.
Resistance is futile.
Y'all could do it on the show.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll get it.
And it also scales really well from what I can tell. I mean, I've only played it at 2, but I like how you increase the number of tiles with more players. So it seems to scale well. So yeah, I think it will be good at all player counts. I think probably 3 to 4 is probably the sweet spot, because 5 might run a little long. But even at 5, it's still snappy, like, because the turns go so fast. I'm trying to remember what the play time is. I put it on the video, but it's 50 to, I don't know, maybe it's 50 to 100 minutes. I think somewhere around there. I think that's right. So maybe with 5 players, it runs an hour and a half, or maybe it's 50 to 90. I can't remember. So 5 players, maybe it runs a little long, but it doesn't feel long because the turns go so fast. And I think that helps in a game with 5 players. If I don't want to play a game with 5 players if the turns take a long time. And I only beat with 5-player games. If the turns are fast, I'm totally fine with it.
Nice.
So,
well, one connection we have this week in gaming for Chris and us is Board Game Arena. I want to thank you for introducing me to Dinogenics. Chris invited me and Wayne into, and I think Rob, into a game of Dinogenics, worker placement game, Jurassic Park, the board game.
Mm-hmm.
I am loving it. I love Tiny Epic Dinosaurs.
awesome.
This is the comparisons I saw online to the two. I wasn't sure how real they were. They are really real. Tiny Epic Dinosaurs and Dinogenics are very similar in play, but I'm finding the theme comes across a lot better in Dinogenics than it does in Tiny Epic Dinosaurs. I'm loving collecting the sets in order to make dinosaurs. That's fun. Selling dinosaur DNA. And I'm just having a good time playing this. I had some rampages. Is that what they call them?
You did do a good job of,
That's it.
I lost a guest in my park, so that's always a scandal. That gives you scandal tokens. So like all the things that I can see John Hammond dealing with,
yeah, it's very like I've played this a few times now. Still getting the hang of some of the rules a little bit, but it's I haven't played my Tiny Epic Dinosaurs. That's one of the Tiny Epics that's unplayed. But I have played Dinosaur Island a bunch. So it's kind of similar. What's interesting is this game, it deals with cards for the DNA, and Dinosaur Island you have the dice and you're rolling the dice. So they're both kind of similar. I enjoy it. Like I said, the theme hits. Dinosaur Island, Tiny Epic Dinosaurs, and the theme just hits. It's Jurassic Park the game, right? Yeah. So it's
right. They didn't do the whole let me do realistic dinosaurs, right? No, they did like here's your Hollywood style dinosaurs because nobody cares about a T-Rex with feathers. Like yes, like I want the Hollywood Jurassic Park feel. The whole event situation down at the bottom, like oh, there's a hurricane coming right out of Jurassic Park. Like come on, guys. You didn't even try to disguise what you did here. Can't use the ferry because there's a hurricane. I think I've seen this movie. I'm loving it. Now where I'm struggle bussing on Ultimate Railroads. I know I had a great time playing live with Wayne and Dan and Rob. Wayne, you were there for that one, right? Make sure I remember that right.
Yeah. Yep.
We had a great time and I loved it. It was a great thinky, themey game. But when I'm alone in BGA world, and I tend to only have my computer when I'm at this table just during the show. So if it's on a phone, it's on a small device that I'm trying to like figure it out, I struggle. And Dinogenics allows for me to understand the rules using theme right? Okay, I go to site A to pick up DNA. I go to the lab to turn DNA into dinosaurs, right? Like, it's just easy to know what to do worker-wise. Worker placement in Ultimate Railroads is so much more Euro-y, so much more, it's, I'm lost. So I'm like, I think I'll skip my turn. And I'm literally hitting the skip button, like, please God, let this game end. Like, I don't want to get any bad juju for quitting a game. But I am struggling on Ultimate Railroads.
Yeah, I could see that. It's definitely not phone friendly. Some games translate better on the phone for BGA than others. I would definitely recommend it on the computer so you could see everything better with all those tracks. And then secondly, I don't think it's a good learning game on BGA. Like, you really need to know the rules first pretty well. I mean, not maybe 100%, but pretty well before you play it on BGA. Unless you have somebody there helping you, who's shadowing you while you're playing, who knows it.
That's the piece I'm missing. When we played in person, we had Dan who had taught the game a dozen times. So, like, anytime I had a question on a symbol or a token or a spot, answer was right there. So BGA is good for some things over others. So thank you for inviting me to some of these games. There are some games you're going to invite me to, and I'm going to be like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that one. That might be beyond my brain capacity.
Totally. And do you think Stone Spine's one you want to acquire?
That one I will hit. Every time you sent an invite for that one, I've hit accept. It works perfect on my phone, and the decision space is so light and nice. Stone Spire, I don't think I'll ever buy the game, but it's definitely, it's that point salad. I liked it better than point salad on BGA.
Oh, yeah, me too. Definitely. It's my favorite tile laying game, personally. It's just straight tile laying. I mean, because there's very little else besides tile laying.
Yep.
It's drafting. It's not tiles. It's technically cards, but it's like a drafting game where you're laying cards. And it reminds me of like tile laying with drafting. And I love that combination.
Yeah, it's a great time. That's part of our This Week in Gaming. I've been playing some BGA games thanks to Chris inviting me on the BGA. I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. And I'll send the invites for the games that you enjoy. And then, Wayne, what about you? What are the ones you like?
I'll play anything,
that
man.
we play?
I'm in like I think I'm currently in about 80 games on BGA, so we're good. I'll play anything.
Okay. Cool. Well, thank you guys. As always, have a great night, and thanks for sharing your thoughts on the games you've been playing recently.
Thanks for being part of the Beans and Dice crew.
Yep.
It's my pleasure, guys.
See you.
See ya. So we got Pablo here, and we have Video Game Champion and Comic Hunters, but strangely, no meta board gaming game about collecting board games. But there is. What's the one where you have to put your board games on the shelves? And,
there's Shelfie,
Stacker.
My Shelfie,
Stacker.
Yes.
Shelfie Stacker. Shem Phillips game where you're. It's not so much about board game, but it's board game collecting because you're putting the board games on a shelf and you have to organize the shelf.
You're drafting the games and then placing them on the shelves in certain patterns to meet certain goals using character abilities to modify that. Mm-hmm. Which is what I'm currently playing on my table right now that you can't really see because it's covered in board games. I'm stacking shelfies.
Yes.
Stacking this shelf.
Yep. So cool. That's a good one. So
yeah, some BGA gaming that I've been doing this week. I've also been playing Hero Quest with my son. I was gonna do the whole I'm the dungeon master, you're the player. Mm-hmm. But what I found is I still like to play it solo, so it's easier for me to use the app and play solo, and then he jumps in with me. So when he joins me, I give him 2 characters. It's so easy to just hand him 2 characters and let him control those characters while I play the other 2 characters, and we both enjoy the story evolving. And I get it. I know it's 1980s rule set, roll and move, right? Just hack and slash, kick the door down, kill the monster, steal the treasure. But man, this is so easy. So easy to get to the table, Wayne. It's so easy to get a story. Like all the work involved with these bigger dungeon crawlers. Like you said, when you try to set up a solo game, by the time you set up, you're so tired, you're done.
yeah, like I'm done.
Hero Quest, I lay the board on the table. I lay out the character sheets, and then I hit go on the app, and the app says, you open a door, and there's a goblin. All right, let's go. And you're just going. Like, you just go. Hero Quest is doing that great right now. So still playing a lot of Hero Quest. Introduced my wife to Lost Cities this week.
Such a good game.
It is. Played with the 6 Expedition, I think they call it. There's normally 5. There's 6 in the new version of the game. The Purple Alien Expedition, so it's like off to other planets.
Yeah, it's the Indiana Jones, 4th Indiana Jones movie.
You're right. It kind of is that.
Crystal Skull.
I don't feel like it added a lot of time to the game. The game was still pretty snappy. The rulebook calls it the long game, but it still played pretty quick.
Pretty quick.
And she picked it up real easy, and I can tell you start to see in the face when those decision points hit.
He's like, I really don't want. I have all of Carlos's green expedition in my hand, but I really need to get rid of one because I need to. Yeah.
And I'm watching the deck dwindle and dwindle and dwindle, and finally she plays like an 8 green, and I'm like, okay, good, I can get rid of this 5 green, this 6 green, this 7 green, and then she gives you that look like, oh, that's where they've been.
Yep.
Like, she's trying to draw out the deck, and I'm holding onto her cards. She's holding on to mine.
That's what the game is brutal like that. That's the best part about that. She's like, I know the moment I play this damn card, he's gonna dump all the greens that he's holding on to, all the whites, whatever. It was funny is it's probably one of the older. It's got to be 15, 20 years old at this point.
1999, I think.
Oh, so it's way older than 25 years. It's top 3 2-player game for me, 100%.
Yep. And the 6 Expedition, it didn't give me that feeling of having as much control in the 6 Expedition version than in the 5, because the 5 you have enough room in your hand to start collecting sets, but it also didn't jam me up as bad. Whereas, when I'm seeing her go for a certain color, because there's 6 suits I'm divided in, I don't have that many of her cards either.
Okay.
So you see what I'm saying? Like, there's this balance. I'm looking forward to playing more with the 6 Expeditions to really kind of grok what's the big difference. Is it really longer? How does it feel? Is it worth playing with the 6? And I sleeved my copy today because, man, I got the new copy that came in.
Do they not have the tarot size cards?
They are tarot size, but they're so flimsy. They're just so flimsy.
You have sleeves for tarot size cards, just floating around your house.
Oh, no, I did, but I didn't have enough to fill it because it's like 76 cards, so I had to order more. But yes, because Scythe, that's tarot size. 7 Wonders, that has tarot size.
Or close to it, yeah.
Beans and Nice Podcast, state your name, where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Aaron Clark calling from Columbus, Ohio.
Hey.
Aaron.
How you guys been?
We are well. It is definitely a call-in show tonight. We've had, 1, 2, 3, 4. You're the 5th caller tonight. 5th actual caller. It's probably our most callers we've had all year, Wayne. And we started the show on a phone call with the owner of Quick Simple Fun Games, who also runs the convention here in Orlando, Florida, Escape WinterCon. So we spent 30-40 minutes on the phone with him where he talked about Escape Winter. So you're the 6th caller of the night.
That's great. Yeah, I've been meaning to call the last few weeks, and just things get busy. And then even tonight, I was listening in and was like, I'll call. And right before I called, someone else called, so I had to kind of wait my turn. But yeah, it's getting a bit more gameplay in right now. So been excited, holding on to some games to call in. So I know we're getting close to 11, so I don't want to push it too much tonight.
Are we already? Holy moly! Where did the time go?
So I'll tell you, what happens is it was just me and you tonight, so all the people took pity on us and called in.
I had no idea it was this late.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm like, we still got to fill like another hour.
Nah. But Aaron, you talk about the games you want to talk about, man. We're here. We can go.
Wait, how old's the baby now?
The baby turned 3 at the beginning of the year. So
okay, so my girl turned 3 in July of last year. So you were like 6 months behind me. So like things are getting easier. It's easier to set them up on their own play space, kind of get your own time. So what are you getting into?
Yeah, I think honestly what's been the bigger thing for me is I was finishing up a master's degree last year. So like any free time I had was pretty much dedicated to that. So
nice. What'd you get it in?
Yeah, I picked up a master's in business operations.
Nice. Okay.
So and actually, I work in higher ed, and kind of the admissions recruitment space, and so it happened to be.
I know a guy that's kind of in that world.
Yeah, he knows a guy kind of in that world.
Wayne's out of St. Pete.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Associate Vice President of Financial.
So it's it. Okay.
If you ever want a job in Florida, talk to Wayne. We can get you down here and get some more games.
I might. We might. I've got a master's degree. I'm looking for the next role. So no, but it's definitely opened up a lot of time. And I think one thing, we did it during the pandemic, and just kind of got away from it. But I mentioned it to family over the holidays. I was like, we should really find time to get back to some board game arena. And I might have mentioned this before, but I don't know that I'll ever kind of settle into like the asynchronous turn by turn stuff. But we've kind of held Monday nights to hop on there for an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, and just all the siblings get on there. The brother-in-laws, sister-in-laws, and we typically have 4 or 5, sometimes 6 of us on, and been hitting up Board Game Arena pretty regularly since the start of the year. So really impressive what they've been able to kind of put on that site now. And
it's blown up. I think, was it Asmodee that bought it? Right?
Asmodee bought it, yep.
And it is just blown up. It is so different than what it was just a few years ago.
Yeah. So that's been really cool. And allowed me to kind of play some of the easy ones. Some people are just hopping on there to play some things, but stuck around and tried out some newer games too, and some games we love in person, but hard to get all of us together. So we try those out, and they really do a good job with the implementation. Some games can be a little fiddly on there with just kind of the steps and confirming your turn, or like sometimes it's hard to see kind of the full board space. But for the most part, they've turned some of those into really great virtual editions of the game, and the setup and teardown time, taking that out can really make it nice. Like we play Draftosaurus in like 4 minutes. Like, how cool
crazy?
Is that? Like,
Yeah. Now and Carlos's game of the moment, Flip 7 has a great implementation on BGA.
Except for you said it, Aaron. Like
Async,
BGA and Async, they just don't jive with me. We're going on week 2 of the one game of Flip 7. We are on week 2 of our one game of Flip 7.
We finished the first game. Now we're on our second game. So
are we?
Yeah.
I guess I missed that. I missed that transition. Like I feel like this game is 2 weeks old.
Yeah, maybe there are a few games that I could get behind. I guess the style of game would be important, but a week and a half long game of Flip 7 doesn't. I think I'm going to lose a lot of the excitement around what Flip 7 and in person does.
I think fundamentally the difference is Carlos is probably only in 2 or 3 games on BGA at any time. So one game of Flip 7 taken 3, 4, 5 days. Asynchronous is rough. I am in 87 games right now. So it doesn't matter to me whether that game comes back up. Great. I had I'll wake up in the morning and I'll have my morning coffee and I'll go to BGA and it'll be 37 games that I can take a turn in. Right.
You've got mail.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
See, that sounds. I don't know. That sounds intimidating.
Stressful. It sounds stressful to me.
But
because when it's my turn, I feel so rushed. I feel like I better hurry up. This clock is ticking down.
Don't get rushed. Especially so Dinogenics is a clear example, Carlos. Don't take your time, man. You take 5, 10 minutes.
We are expecting you at the table. I get the email. I get the pop up.
Turn those off. It'd be fine.
Yeah. See, so I guess Wayne, maybe a question for you. Do you do much solo gaming? Because I think in that case I'd much rather take a half hour, 45 minutes, even an hour, depending on what game, and just set up a solo board game, or even just hop on the iPad and do Castles of Burgundy against the AI, or any of the other great iPad implementations. You just play on the computer.
Nope. Currently 73 games against other people. I think typically, so there's about 10 two-player games on here that I have just a constant game with a buddy of mine. So like Lost Cities, Jaipur, Seven Wonders Duel, Targi. There's a few others. Can't Stop, right? And it's just the moment we finish the next one, I just propose rematch. And so so I have about 5 to 10 two-player games that I'm just forever in a game with my buddy, and we just keep rotating through and just keep playing them over and over and over again. So I probably have hundreds of games of Lost Cities with him and Jaipur with him and things like that. But those other games, I mean, it ranges from Dinogenics and Castles of Burgundy to Citadels to Yahtzee, right? And just, kind of replaying, games. So all weights and differences. And what I typically do is I set up all my games to be 1 turn per day. That's it. Just 1 turn per day. But if you take more than that, great. Like, I have the benefit of, I have multiple monitors here, and my day job, I do my job, and I can have BGA on another screen, and just as turns come up, I just go over there and take a 2-minute turn, because it helps my brain just kind of detach from computer programming and finance and things like that. So, I think it was funny that I've only started playing. So I started playing BGA February 8th of 2022. So it's been 3 years.
Wow, time has flown.
Yeah, 3 years. And I have 5,543 games played in 3 years. So it's about 1,800 games a year.
I just got my renewal. I saw the charge go on the account for the renewal of BGA.
$30 is the most. It's like, yeah. I think for what I've spent on BGA in 3 years, the amount of enjoyment I get out of it is great.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's really impressive. And the more you're talking about it, I think there's some games that I could enjoy in kind of the async format, like a Lost Cities or, some of those head-to-head sort of games.
Yeah, especially if you get with somebody that somebody you're going to play with. So my buddy Kevin and I, we know that we're going to take 1 or 2 turns a day of the 10 games. And so you just check in twice a day and just do your turns and, keep moving on. So
I'm really having fun with the implementation of White Castle. White Castle is one of my favorite games.
Really good.
But it's so easy to get through a turn, and then but you still get that combo feeling. Like some games in BGA with the combos, they get interrupted, so you kind of have to wait for someone to do what they're doing before you can kind of reap the rewards. In White Castle, I feel like, I did that thing, which gave me that thing, which click, click, click. Oh, I can resolve all those rewards.
And the good thing, or the good and bad thing about BGA is all the games are independently produced, right? So like, if I was a better programmer, I could go and create a game, right? Or try to reach out to a publisher and say, hey, I want to program your game in BGA. People really should on BGA look at the little hamburger icon in the upper right-hand corner, because in there, a lot of games have options that can make it go faster. And the best example of it is Space Base. So when you play Space Base, every time it rolls, if it's Carlos's turn, he rolls, and I have cards that would score, it would then stop the game and say, okay, what do you want to do? But in Space Base, you can click 2 options and say, always pick the better option. If there's 2 options, pick the one that gives the most coins. If there's only 1 option, then just pick it, and it'll auto pick. So for 70-80% of the off-turn choices that are just no-brainers, you're going to do that no matter what. It just automates that. So it makes the game go faster. Like, you'll do
you understood exactly what I meant. Like, I'm here to combo this turnout and get a bunch of rewards, but I got to wait for Wayne to decide if he wants to react to what I'm doing.
So there are some options in certain games where you can automate that, where it's like, in some of the other ones where you can say, like, if you're playing cards, like, only play this card when somebody else does this, and then you don't have to worry about that. So that's some of the asynchronous stuff, like Terraforming Mars is one that takes a long time on BGA. Those can take a while because it's like slow turns and people are comboing cards and things like that.
What's your favorite right now, Aaron, on BGA? Like, that's my implementation right now is White Castle.
I think so. We do a lot of Seven Wonders just because of how quick it plays, and everyone knows that one. But the other one we like as a family is It's a Wonderful World. That's just a favorite we have anyway. But again, there's some moments there where you have to kind of extra click and do some things, but it works really well. So that's been getting played almost every week. Outside of that, I'm trying to think what else my sister and I have kind of explored. Like, everyone else will log off. She's out in Phoenix, so that she's got a little more time once we kind of call it a night, and I'll stay on and we'll go like try something new. So I've tried harmonies on there. We gave Five Tribes a try this week, and there's some fiddliness of like pick the tile, then pick the meeple you want to drop off, then pick this, and then you kind of not always knowing when it's automatically triggering something or asking when it will ask you to kind of confirm you want to trigger something. So we were definitely learning on that play, but yeah, it's still very playable. So, and then we do a lot of like just the easy ones, I mentioned Draftosaurus, like Sushi Go, Seven Wonders Architects, Azul.
I like that one. 7WA. Did either you or your sister pick up the new Ethnos?
No, so the sister I mentioned is actually a separate sister. So my one sister's got my old copy of Ethnos. I gave that to her. I have Archaeos Society, and I think I'm just going to leave it at that. The new Ethnos, from an art standpoint, I think I like slightly better. From a theme, I find it a little weirder than the original Ethnos. And I know there were a couple like weird production issues, like from what I saw from the Dice Tower. So I think I'm going to leave it as is. We've got two versions of very similar games. And if we want to play Ethnos and do more area control, my sister's got a copy. If we want to do more of the track and slightly more friendly game, we've got Archaeos Society, and I think we'll leave it at that.
I think we are in line. I'm in line with you. I'm not reaching out for it. There was nothing about.
I don't
that
need
new
to buy
version.
the game a third time. Yeah, I just don't need to do it.
No,
Especially
I'm okay with that. I will buy a game 3 times. There are multiple 3 games I have of different games.
No thanks.
Just not Ethnos.
I've repurchased, old games and new versions, but yeah, I mean, I've slowed down on some of my buying, so it just feels like buy a new game. Like I picked up Harmonies in the physical copy this week. There's games I'm missing, from the last couple of years because I've slowed down. I'm going to do that before I buy a third edition of Ethnos or.
I don't like the map. The map just it takes me out of the game. That star-shaped island that it has there is just totally took me out of the game.
Yeah, I don't know. I never hated the art in the previous. I thought it was a little outdated and it just looked like an older game. I understand why you go kind of language independent on the cards, but I think I would have still kept some terms and some words on there. I'm sure it's great. It looks, from a production standpoint, for the most part, outside of kind of like they printed something wrong, or I'd have to go back and watch the Dice Tower review to remember exactly. But it sounded like there were 1 or 2 like somewhat kind of frustrating. Yeah, it was a misprint on a card and maybe a misprint on one of the
part
boards.
of the issues is the UI because it has the colors, right? So they got these colors on the card that don't match the color icon of the class that has the special ability. So you start having this confusion on like which green is this? Like so it creates. It's not because they wanted to go language independent. It made it harder. So I'm with you. I think I'm good with original OG. And I remember having complaints about Ethnos originally, and now they've twice now tried to fix it. I'm like, you know what? Stop. It's okay. This copy is awesome. It looks great. I have no complaints. Leave it alone.
Yeah. That could almost be like a top list of games that everyone wanted a better version of that didn't happen. So Ethnos would be there twice.
Yeah.
And not for not trying. They tried, but man, why couldn't they get it right? Right. Libertalia is the other one.
It's so disheartening too, because I mean, I put Ethnos really up there as far as, it's probably a top 15, 20 game all time for me.
Yes.
It plays at so many different player counts. I love the idea of kind of the top card being, this being the leader and what that does. Like it feels like, a great next step from like a Ticket to Ride because of how you're pulling cards in and you're not playing routes, but you're playing band. It's like
simple, Ticket to Ride like mechanism with the set collection, but now you're doing area control versus route building.
Yeah, and it's just really, really good. Plays really smooth, really quick. And I think, to your point, if the first edition would have been, if it would have looked a little more modern, I think it would have sold like crazy.
And it wasn't even the artwork. It's just
Archaeos Society and redoing it, and then they changed kind of
too much
this core mechanism of area control to tracks, and it's good, but there was something about like just was a little more tense when it was area control that was really cool. And then they tried to bring it back again with this new edition, and they just I think they missed a couple notes. Like, you didn't have to reinvent the wheel, you just had to make it look a bit nicer. Almost sounds a little silly, but like, I don't know that we needed that fancy of edition, but if we could have got the Castles of Burgundy treatment that Arcane Wonders did, I think that's what it needed, right? Not
same game, just spruced up a little bit, shined up a little bit.
Castle Burgundy, Rococo, brass, take the game and just make it better. Like, as far as the look and feel.
Make it look more modern, but don't take away what makes it special.
Yeah. And I don't know, like, I get it. Everyone hates generic fantasy and gets tired of that, but I thought it worked. I really did. Like,
if you made the art, if you took original Ethnos and just did like Vincent Dutrait art or Mr. Covington art, like
it's like a big name, it'd
be perfect.
Yeah, especially looking at Seven Wonders Duel.
And I'm not even a huge,
and
I like Ethnos. I'm not a huge fan of it, but if you just gave it better artwork, I'd probably make it into my collection.
But it's not just the better artwork; it's how they used it. Like the cards, like the way I don't know how to call it. It's not the interface of the card, but like the way it's designed, the borders, the background, right? Like it just looks old.
Yeah, and it goes into like
somebody designed it on like Corel.
It seemed like a game that's just ripe for expansions, maybe a second map. Like, what would that do?
A second map that changes how things are adjacent to each other, and
or just like a few new factions.
I remember chasing down the fairies. I went to the CMON Expo just so that I can buy the fairies expansion.
Yeah, it's a weird game. It's got a weird history, and
but it's still top 20 there, man. Like all time, it would make my top 20.
Oh yeah, I think it would still be in my top 20. I haven't played it much as of late, but it is that good. So
I think last year I only got to play it at the 3-player count, which is why I didn't stay on the board long. But when I get it played at the full player count, it hits home.
5 and 6 players is so good. Yeah. Well, I've got some other games I'd love to talk about, but I know we're 10 past, so I'll be sure to call in over the next couple of weeks. And
as time allows, and now that you've got more time on your hands, I love catching up with folks. Wow, I can't believe it's been 4 years now, 5 years that you've been watching. That's crazy.
At least 4, something like that.
That's crazy.
I'm almost always watching. Sometimes just in the chat, or sometimes.
Can you believe that, Wayne? We've been doing this long. We're like building relationships with people all over the country. This is crazy. Right. Aaron, thank you so much for calling, brother.
Absolutely. And hopefully, I don't know, in the next year or two, maybe I'll make it out to a con or something that you guys are at. I'd love to, hopefully at some point, meet in person. So I love what you guys are doing, and looking forward to it next week too. So thank you.
Good night, Aaron.
Appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
That's record-breaking calls this week.
Yeah, right up there. Back to, we haven't gotten, sometimes you get a ton, sometimes you don't, right? So.
All right, so for purchases, check this out. This is Cube for Me. It is a company that makes inserts, Wayne, for board games, but they specifically make these for GMT games. So they design them and sell them on their website. You tell them what GMT games you have, because GMT is just full of chits. It's after dark, but it's not that kind of chits.
Yes.
They're full of chits, and it's all baggies. So it's really, setting up armies. You can see I'm actually opening it for the first time.
How
Looking forward to seeing
how
this.
much bubble wrap did they put on that thing?
And the whole thing is plastic, brother. So much microplastics in this house. There it is. This right here is their medieval set. So you buy them in sets, or you can buy them individual. It creates almost like a game genie or game trays for specifically for GMT games. The combo kit that it came with here is enough to house all of the chits for both the medieval Command and Colors medieval game, plus the new expansion, which adds the Templars. How did I lose my train of thought? What do you call that? When the Templars were going around, the Crusades. That's the word I'm looking for. It adds the Crusades. But I just thought that was so cool that somebody saw a problem and fixed it by providing custom, easy to, I don't have to figure it out myself. I don't have to math it out. They show it to you right on their website. If you have this GMT game, you click on this button, you'll get these containers, and it'll look like this, all in the box with no lid lift.
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. So I wanted to share that. Cube for Me is the name of the company for all you wargamers out there. I was hoping to share it with Dan on the show because I know he'd appreciate it more.
They just do GMT games. They don't do DVG or other war games.
I don't know. I'll have to check. But I'm more of my first DVG game was recent.
It's the first.
You know what? I should go. I was actually thinking about repurposing these towards that DVG game, but you know what? Let me go see if they have them specifically for Warfighter.
I'm just here to help you spend money, Carlos.
I'm broke. So that's the first thing I'm very happy about that came in is my Cube for Me set, and then reading through the rules of Finspan, Automa, going through the cards, flipping through the components, really got some juices flowing on the theme. So bad decisions were made, and I swooped up a copy of Endeavor Deep Sea because I'm like, oh man, Finspan looks like it's going to be a hit for Rob, and I know that Rob loves the Deep Sea thing.
He's gonna
but I know he already owns Endeavor, and so do you.
Yes.
And I figure, okay, so you guys are less likely to go out and buy the same game with a different theme.
Right.
So I thought, you know what? I'll be the good friend. I'll take the hit. Okay, Wayne, I'll take the hit.
Did Rob say he played that recently? Did Deep Sea? I don't know if he did or play it or not.
I don't recall.
But yeah,
I'm interested. I don't think so.
I'm interested to try it, but I still love the Age of Sail.
Well, listen. Although I'm saying I'm taking the hit for buying Endeavor Deep Sea, I'm not taking off the table the idea of buying Endeavor Age of Sail. That's still on the table. That is still a Grail game for me, even though I have Rob's copy right over there. I'd like to buy my own and hand him his back.
His back, interesting. All right.
So those are my purchases.
Cool.
That's my twig.
Yep. That was, and we talked about games, a bunch of games we played on BGA and other such stuff. Yeah, I think that's it.
Real quick on the OGG.
Ooh, okay.
I don't have a lot of OGG out there.
Yeah.
Other geeky goodness. But what I do have for OGG is on the 23rd of this month is going to be the new season of 1923. You see what they did there?
Ooh,
on the 23rd, 1923, new season comes out. So
yeah.
Super looking forward to that.
Looking forward to that too. Yeah, I think that's my wedding anniversary evening, so that'll be interesting. Yeah.
Any OGG that you want to highlight for the folks at home?
No, what's interesting is my kid has on his second watch through of Ted Lasso because he loves it so much, which is cool. And then he started watching The Flash today, so it was kind of interesting. He started watching that, but I'm finishing up The Night Manager with Tom Hiddleston, the guy who played Loki, and the guy from House, the main doctor from House.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I love that actor.
Yeah, it's good. He plays the bad guy, so it's kind of interesting. So
interesting.
That up. It's a very Tom Hiddleston plays like a night manager at a hotel, and he was a former military guy. He gets sucked in by MI6 to go undercover to try to root out House's guy, who's an international arms dealer. So it's good. It's a little, slow moving, more methodical than some of the other spy stuff, but it's good. So I enjoyed it. I don't know what I'm going to watch next. There's a lot on. I need to go back and watch Severance. Is what I need to probably do that. So
if I get into Apple, I might do that.
Never mind. Finished. My kid and I binged the last 5 episodes of Cobra Kai. So good.
Netflix, right?
Yep, Netflix. Love Cobra Kai. So
yeah, that's what I got. The Jamie Foxx movie with Cameron Diaz on Netflix. Spy movie. Man, what was the name of it? Anyway, it's almost like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith, if you remember that one. Two married spies.
Oh, Back in Action.
Back in Action. That was good. It was actually, it's a good family movie. I thought Jamie Foxx did a good job. What's weird is my oldest son, the 21-year-old, said he couldn't stop thinking of Fiona while watching it because of Cameron Diaz's character.
The voice, yeah.
Because he grew up on Shrek, right? Shrek. So like here he is, as an adult, his entire life he's been watching Shrek.
Nice.
So that's the only place he knows her from. He hasn't seen any other movies. So that was his comment. Was all I heard was Princess Fiona.
Yeah.
That's all I could hear.
My kid, for once, has an early soccer game Saturday. We have like a 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. game, so we have tickets to go see the new Captain America movie after that. So
very cool. Report back.
Yep.
So that gets us through another wonderful show.
Yeah. Didn't even get to the news. It's great.
No, I'll save. I don't have a lot of articles. I'll save them. Right. And I'll add more.
I'll forward you the ones I got then.
I think next week is the 27th. So this will be a beans episode. We'll do some more beans. We'll give it the beans, and then the following week we'll update you on our top 20 boards for games played in February.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, if you like what we do, you can help support by joining our Discord, where we get a lot of chat, a lot of conversation. If you have questions or comments about the show, you can email us at beansanddice@gmail.com. You can make sure to hit the subscribe button on whatever platform you're watching on, YouTube, Twitch, Rumble, whatever it is. Just make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit like for today's episode. That'll help get it out there to others, and we can introduce new folks to what we do here. If you want to support what we do financially, you can find us on PayPal at Beans and Dice, or on Venmo at Beans and Dice, or on Cash App at Beans and Dice. Or hit the Super Chat button on YouTube, and that's another way to support. We've had another great evening. I've been Carlos.
And I'm Wayne.
Thanks for watching the Beans and Dice podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Good night, everybody.